Thank you very much, John, for sharing that with everyone. Mr. Keshe, would you like to come in here, please?
Yes, good evening or good afternoon. I just came to listen. Unless there is any questions you want to be answered.
Thank you for your presence.
Mr. Keshe, hi, it's Dean here from the UK. Can I quickly ask a question about the wellness centre that I've just seen? Is that physically big enough to hold 12 units?
Yes, because the units will be shrunk to just under 5 meter and 15-meter span will give us exactly what we want.
So, Mr. Keshe, the field interactions between those units being that close together is obviously okay?
We have foreseen a specific configuration for this. You can make it bigger, it doesn't make much difference as such, but we can go down to 6 to spread it, but we wanted the 12 to be in the configurations. Arizona is set up for cooperation with NASA and Lockheed Martin, American Space Program. Primarily, we look at this when we start negotiation originally with the Arizona Governor Office and the organization. Our prime objective is collaboration in Arizona between NASA and the European Space Agency on the same ground. Maybe half, 1/3 of the system gradually will be handed to the space program. And at the same time, we monitor how it'll be done in the space, what it is. Arizona is one specific case. Most probably, I was talking to the Chinese side of the Keshe Foundation. We'll set up such a thing with the China space program because we've been given a grant of 300 million RMB by the Chinese government by the Yellow River. This agreement I signed early this year in my last trip, and it's been announced nationally in Chinese, what we call programs by the government. And hopefully we establish the same with Russia very soon. But this is about the right, because now they be going to the space development. As I said, I was explaining earlier on the same. The teaching of the 21st onwards will be so radical in so many ways, and it'll open up a new door into the space work. I have set out gradually, even this weekend, this week, teaching, explaining the 5 cups in more detail. But we'll have a more or less radical departure from all teachings from 21st. And the teaching will be concentrated on deep space and the future of mankind in space. The teaching, more or less this week, will be the final phase of the Keshe Foundation work. But we keep close coordination between human, or what we call Earth, the space travel, and deep space. We set up now the interface between the universal community and humanity. Next 5 months, we try to keep it extremely radical. As I said earlier on today, many of the knowledge seekers who thought they are here to learn about the gases and the space will leave the foundation in different ways and will take a new course. Mankind will face new challenges which never knew. And this will create a mayhem for many of the knowledge seekers. The space travel, the space system we have taught up to now is for what we call initial stage Even that we have seen many people have problem with it. The space technology to come is so radical that none of you could imagine this could happen. But now, if you understand the process, it's the only thing and the only way which can happen. We will see a lot of new teaching, a lot of new understanding. The program of the teaching in the next few months is to create an understanding of the deep space and universal community. Up to now, we talk to be short about humans, the space travels, whatever the systems for all sorts. Now, in the next 5 months, we'll concentrate only on the teaching of what mankind will see in the space, what mankind has to handle in the space, what mankind has to understand about his own being in deep space. And these are what we put, what are called the cornerstones for man travel into space, in a deeper space. What we teach from 21st onwards is on look that many of those who take this path will never return to Earth, or they'll come back in hundreds of years from now. The teaching is set to open the deeper space into man, and not across one galaxy, but across the universe travel, and from unicos. And what will happen to you? What are the eventualities of you in space? You have to remember, we don't have the aircraft hangars anymore. We don't have runways anymore. We won't have airports anymore. Would we take million, 10 million, 100 million citizens of this planet on a journey of no return to explore the depth of the universe? I reckon billions would volunteer, where you have no worries about the work, where you have no worries about your food, where you have no worries about what might come.
Mr. Keshe, are pets welcome?
What would you like to take with you?
Oh, a few cats.
Oh, it doesn't matter. World can do, universe can do to see the animals we love. But the teaching, as I said, are warned months in advance. It'll be, many of you will go through the shock of understanding that what is waiting for mankind in the depth of the universe. The life on this planet will not change. You will still struggle with corona, you still will struggle with finding food or whatever the way it's going now. But the new space technology of deeper space, which we should start teaching, and we warned for months ahead, is not what you have imagined. It makes many of you think twice, many 3 times. Many of you will not be able to see, you will not have the vision of what is to come. Most probably in 2 weeks' time, when we start the first phase of deeper space travel, many of you will be shocked in what will happen to you in deeper space. We shall see.
Are you referring to the physical changes or the emotional changes, or both?
Both. You cannot change physicality and not touch the emotion.
Thank you.
It's one of the impossibilities.
Mr. Keshe, you said that Lockheed Martin and other space agencies are involved. Have they
We are
got
not
this
involved. We
technology?
are inviting, let me correct you, we are inviting them in to be a collaboration between Iran and the United States in the deep space program. We have to wait for a change of administration in US. We have to wait for a change of administration in Iran. And just after February, it'll be just about the right time.
Are they going to be interested, Mr. Keshe, in a donkey or a soul travel, or both?
What you mean?
Are they at a level that they would want to travel by their souls?
Don't know. We have to wait and see.
Because obviously, I would imagine they've been listening to these teachings for a very long time, so they should have a deep understanding of what's been taught.
The process is to understand what is to come, not to be afraid of it, not to create a fear, but talk and find a solution in how we will handle what has become apparent to us. It's understanding of the truth about the life of the man in deeper space, where there is no milk, there is no soap, there is no food. A flower is a memory from earth, and so on. What we see, what we envisage, as has happened to many cultures in the past in space, something like between 10,000 to 100,000 mankind will take into the deep depth of space. And getting lost in it, not finding their way back, will bring new anxieties, new understanding, need to understand more. And that's what most of the teaching in the coming weeks will be.
In a physical state, Mr. Keshe, on this planet, is there a need to leave this planet at any present moment? Is this planet in a position of any, need for humanity to actually have to leave?
Looking at it on a Sunday, the 10th at 22:15 in the evening, no. But you don't know what we'll have at 22:15 on Monday the 11th.
Mr. Keshe, if one of our family members or our loved ones departed into space, would we wonder what would happen to them, or would life pass and you would still be wondering if you didn't return for hundreds of years? What sort of assurance would a family have?
Zero. The process of the seeing even the solar system in physical dimension is a joy. Very much like when you're in love with someone. We'll have to see. We will teach in very much in depth of the knowledge, far, far beyond what has been taught up to now.
Mr. Keshe, is that that's public teachings? Is that going to be for humanity, or is that on a private lesson scale?
Public. Absolutely and totally public. We are not bringing a special breed who know more than others. And if you be on the teachings on Saturdays or whatever, we make sure the expression of other languages is not on the paper or in teaching. We'll teach in a very, very different way. I've got 5 months to make man ready for deeper space and understanding of new structure of life.
So, Mr. Keshe, will the certain people that have not had this knowledge, will they be able to travel without the need for the cup system or the enhancement units? Are you going to teach the soul of the man?
The enhancement unit and cup units will be part of the man's physical life. They will not change. But if man takes to space and wants to live in a dimension of the real field of universe, he or she has no option just except going through the way we are doing it. It's an interesting time ahead, very interesting.
Mr. Keshe, I think many of the people have just joined who don't have full knowledge will be wondering how this is possible, because they've not experienced the nanotechnologies and the GANs, had plasmatic experiences yet. Maybe some of them have, but not all of them. So this is for them, it's going to seem a difficult, big step, a very big step for mankind. So I hope they're all ready.
We hope so too.
Mr. Keshe, this is Ed from Indiana. Do our souls know what is to come?
Yes.
So is there a possibility that they are preparing us for what is to come?
And nights.
Pardon?
The teaching from now on is just not a day, it's day and night. Even we teach during your sleep to elevate the soul. We have entered the final phase of educating mankind. Any other question?
Mr. Keshe, can you hear me?
Who's speaking?
This is in Michigan.
Yes.
I ordered one unit last December and I do not have a place for it yet. And I
Are you
initially,
the lady? Are you the lady who has been trying to sort something out with Klaus?
yes, and I have not been able to finish sorting it out.
Keshe Foundation is in the process of one city, one unit discussion. And maybe we have to facilitate that and see what we can do to
That would-
accommodate the system.
That would be wonderful because I have tried many different things and it seemed like the type of accommodation was not clear to me, and I had several different possible locations, but none of them apparently are suitable.
What we are trying to do is, we know in the next 2 or 3 weeks, a prefabricated or structured design.
Okay, and then we just need to provide
The land for it.
the land. Okay,
But
and the
this is
zoning.
that's the infancy stage. It's not going through yet.
Okay, so I don't need to worry about not having a place available by the end of December. Because I've really been trying all kinds of different avenues to get ready for December. And I haven't managed to accomplish that. Is a backyard sufficient? Am I still
Anyone?
connected?
Yes, if anyone, Mr. Keshe, if you're speaking, we're not hearing you.
No, I'm listening.
Yeah.
Thing is, you have to realize, we said it before, we try to connect to the soul more than the physicality, and the process started a few weeks ago. But the whole thing will start panning out from next week on, from 21st.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. But we are planning, we're heading to one city, one unit, and the discussion is one is not enough. For some cities, we go up to 12 units, very much replication of Arizona. But at the moment, if we can do one system, one city, about 600-700 year plus production is already committed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. If there is no other question, I'll join to listen.
Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Yes.
I'm Sonia from Argentina. I would like to ask something about the CH3. In some protocols of health, we have to replace, for example, in the protocol of constipation, it says that we need to use CH-free and other guns. What can we do?
Sorry, can you state
Yes.
again what you said from the beginning?
Well, in some health protocols, it says we need CH-free. For example, in constipation protocol, it says that we need a CH-free and other cans. But
What do you mean constipation protocol?
the constipation, oh well, well, I don't know what to do, what to say in English. Jonah, are you there?
Why do you have, who's put a protocol for constipation?
In the wiki, in the English wiki, it says, well, I see it, constipation. Did you say that in constipación o estreñimiento en inglés?
Yeah, that's correct.
Well, so I read that
I have not seen, I don't go to Keshe Wiki. I haven't seen this protocol.
well, I saw it a few months ago in the Kiev wiki.
I have not seen it, so I cannot make any comment.
Okay. Well, in that case, is there any link or some medical group of who will answer some health questions about like that?
Put it onto the health and see what they answer.
Sorry?
Put your question where most
Yes.
of the questions is sitting and see what they answer, because I don't know what you're asking for. And I have not seen the protocol for whatever they're talking about.
Well, I would like to contact with medical with a medical group that stay in the Keshe technology. But well, I would like to. I will put my question there. Thank you.
We have to redo a lot of work and clarify a lot of work. And in due course, very in the near future, all this should be sorted, that if you don't understand in one part of the wiki, you can go somewhere else and understand it. We have to extend the knowledge, and in that process, a lot will change in the coming weeks.
Mr. Keshe, I have another question. This is in Michigan.
Yeah.
I have a dog that has seizures and they have been getting worse. And I had been hoping that if I would get one of these units, I could put him in there first and me second, because my brain doesn't work as well as I would like it to. But do you have an idea or a thought what I could do for him? Because he's no longer, I had tried to avoid medications. Now he's on medications, and now the medications do not keep it under control anymore. The last 2 days he's had seizures again, which are grand mal seizures and very traumatic for everybody. Nobody
Who's
sounds.
asleep?
He's not, he's just recharging. You'll see.
What do you mean?
No, we heard some snoring or what sounded like a nasal.
No,
No, I thought
we are trying to contemplate on a lot of things at the same time. Departing from the present teaching, bringing a new teaching, new understanding, setting up often a lot of other things beyond the present knowledge, the running of the exhibition and extension into the flight system. All these needs a lot of planning. And with what we announced, one city, one unit, one system, we have taken a lot burden on our shoulder, but there's nobody there to share. Nobody's there to share. Nobody's there to wait 1 second. Then we have John every now and then, if you remember, he had us. We have other places and groups which we have to support. Be ready for this change. And as many of you have seen, we are seeing the same pattern of attack on the foundation by one person. Copy of what we went through with the copy of exactly what we went through with Susan and Hope and everybody else who popped out. And we see the same pattern. And that these things takes a lot of time and energy of the work. We've seen replication of the attacks 5 years, 6 years by Dirk and then by the lots when we captured Alan Sterling. The same sentences, the same versions, the same things are popping out again, but by one person. Now we know originally where it came from. And attacking every line of teaching, putting doubt in people's mind, we see the same. And we change the style of teaching in progressive way in the coming weeks and months. And in so many ways, you will see more of this to reach the world population. We will bring new way of teaching. We will encourage new way of teaching. Yeah. These processes will be so rapid that in a way with new technologies, new knowledge will punch drunk. Most of this technology you will not be able to do within the solar system. The teaching of coming time is mankind beyond the solar system, which is a depth of deeper space. And these are what about to come. And we'll see, can you take your cat to the other side of the universe? Possible.
we understand your exasperation and your energy that you've wasted on these matters. But would you restate your question again to Mr. Keshe on your pet and the grand mal seizures?
Yes, Mr. Keshe, I have a big dog. It's 5 years old that keeps having seizures, and it started about a year or a little more than a year ago.
I deliberately avoid talking in the health section. I think you didn't get the message.
I did not get the message. Sorry.
I deliberately stay away from any comments on the health and these kind of issues because of where we stand, and that's why I took a silence.
Okay, thank
We
you.
understand. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Because there's no use entering into, you got to understand, I mean, for knowledge seekers, that the Keshe Foundation is changing to one of the largest organizations internationally in coming weeks. We have taken the steps outside the Keshe Foundation to bring changes in. And the changes will come in technological development. And in a progressive way, we will bring in knowledge, technology, and those who can teach mankind from beyond the solar system. We started an interface of, as I promised months ago, years ago. Our work is by March next year to open the interface, direct open communication in open channels between the human race and outside, an understanding of the process. This is one of the main things which will come up. And we announce it and we keep it, and now it's time to bring it in.
Mr. Keshe, can you share the knowledge about the origination or the causation of seizure then? How you did about stroke, how the seizure is like an emotional overload in a way?
Seizure for what? With which condition? Seizure as a epileptic attack seizure, seizure as a heart attack, seizure as a brain stroke?
So when we say grand mal, that's usually an epileptic seizure.
You see, the whole understanding of the seizure, and we have proven to be 100% correct, is accumulation of too much information within the structure of the brain. And in the connection between the brain and the spinal cord, and a point of what we call the switch, cannot be handling the amount of the information which is produced in the brain and the amount of information or energy or line of communication which can take that energy out of the body through the nervous system. And that's what we call a seizure. The brain produces too much information and the spinal cord cannot handle it and switches on and off, and you call it a seizure. We understand this fully. We've done this for years. The success rate of the Keshe Foundation and epilepsy is 100%. Any case we took, we accepted to monitor and advise on seizure. We have been 100% successful without return back. So if we have been so successful, it means we understood the principle behind it and how we handle it. What's the reason that the brain produces so much information? What's the reason that the heart produces so much energy that it leads to heart attack or stroke? What happens in the brain that leads to the brain stroke, brain hemorrhage? This we all understand in a full structure. And every time we have touched it, to return it has been successful, more or less 100%.
I don't recall if there was a Plasma Times article on it. Do you?
No, the seizure epilepsy was taught in early stages of the Keshe Foundation teaching. It's in early teaching. You have to find it.
Yes, there's a reference to it in one of the books. In the end of the book, there's a number of things that apparently were published, but I have no idea where to find them.
The what we call epileptic attack and seizures, that kind of thing, it is, I think it's discussed with Dr. Elia Kostova in one of the teachings. Every epileptic attack, every epileptic, more or less, psychological or physical, is reversible, without a doubt. Unless you have a tumor, as you say, which puts pressure on part of the brain, which that part produces too much energy or information, which is useless. And then the body needs to get rid of that extra energy, which leads to what we see in epileptic attacks. Because it's like when I put you against the wall and I squeeze you, you shout and cry and do whatever. You produce a lot of energies. Tumors do this to the brain. They squeeze the brain to corner and the brain produces electric shocks, electric information. And when cannot get rid of that information to get rid of the tumor, those energies are released through the spinal cord link, and you see this epileptic attack. It's just get the pressure off, you stop the seizure. But how you get it up is important. What is part of it to take it up? This needs a wise, what we call man of medicine or a practitioner who understands.
Mr. Keshe, when the overload of information is not due to a tumor, is it usually due to the emotions running out of control?
It's all sorts of. I believe 60–70% of the seizures caused by the person deliberate. 70–80%, maybe 60–70% of the seizures we see and we have had experience with are self-initiated. It's a self-mutation of the brain to get attention.
Workshop 103, 118 minutes in.
What, please? About the epilepsy.
Yes, I just gave a reference for one segment on it.
Epilepsy is self-inflicted most of the time and controlled by the one who gets it.
In this case, the dog is asleep and wakes up from a seizure.
You have to, is there a tumor?
Okay.
So if there's a tumor, there is a pressure on the brain, and that pressure creates electric information or charges, which needs to be got rid of. And it goes through the spinal cord. But on top of the spinal cord with the brain, there's a little valve. It's a pinhead, smaller than a pinhead, the valve. And it allows so much information to go down the spinal cord. When it gets to that point, it shuts till all the information has dissipated and used. Then it opens it again. It does that till get rid of all the charges inside the brain. It's a bucket, it has to empty it. And every time it switches on and off, because of the no destination for the charges, the body goes through shake. And if the shake is from abdomen down, it leads to convulsion. It's just like me putting you on a carousel and turning. So convulsion, shaking, and all sorts which causes an epileptic attack is the end of the story. You have to go find out what was the story which started it. And at the moment, the world of medicine only looks at these things. You have to see what initiates that change.
Excuse me, Mr. Keshe, I have a question. Is it related to schizophrenia too? This is Samuel. Thank you.
Schizophrenia is not a disease. Schizophrenia is a reality of life. The schizophrenic does not, in a shape or form, is not a disease. It's a choice of the body to exist within 2 or 3 dimensions. One of the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers suffers from it extremely. We will reveal it very soon. They are born with 2, 3 souls, and each one has his own character. That's the schizophrenic. Schizophrenic is not a disease, and we have talked about it and written many things about it. In the case of a schizophrenic, we are the sick people, not the people with the schizophrenic. We are the ones who don't understand the truth.
Mark, it was 118 minutes, not 1 hour 18. The reference.
Got it. Say that again, please.
118 minutes, not 1 hour 18.
In which
Got it.
one?
I'll put it in. 103.
103.
103, okay.
I've given Joseph a reference for it as well.
I wonder if that's the workshop where Mr. Keshe talks about how the people that suffer from epilepsy have a certain uvula in their throat where it's a certain
Yes.
shape. Is that?
That's it, because they suck on it. They literally suck on it. If you want large majority of people with epileptic attacks, ask them to open their mouth, they refuse to do so.
There
Mr.
is a
Keshe, I had
public, there is a
Oh, go
public
ahead.
teaching of the schizophrenic condition. You, Mr. Keshe, put it in public. It is I think the 34th health teaching. It is in
What do you
public.
mean?
It's about beautiful people,
Yes.
because it's very important you put it in to the public.
The Twinities.
Yes, you see, the what do you call schizophrenic is, some of them manage so well to blend. Or in a way, they have become such a good masters in it. And that we don't see it. We are not aware of it, but people nearby they are. And some some of them have become so good at it that you do not know, you don't see, you don't realize. And the minute you point them out, they call you a schizophrenic. The minute you finger point and you come, they find a way to divert. But people around, they when there are a number of people who are very close or spend time, they'll see it. But the extreme is what we call a schizophrenic, comes around age of puberty. And if they can manage to control it, they walk through. Very, very few of them do.
Sorry, it was 33rd health teaching. It's June 9th, 2015.
The process of understanding of the schizophrenic has to be understood by the society and not by individuals. Then we stop the damage to the society and not only the families and the rest.
Mr. Keshe, will there ever be a time for the twinities to become individuals outside of the matter state where they can find, they'll always be connected, but how they...
Let me correct you in a way. You raised a very, very fundamental question. With the development in the new science and technology, with the development in what we will show in the coming time, we can develop and create structures that allows the souls to immigrate or accept the body as a host. This is part of the technology we open up after 21st, but in a way, I give you a window into look. Let's say if there are 4 characters or 4 souls in one body, what we call a schizophrenic, with a new understanding and technology we have, and we can deliver effectively, we can accommodate that in each individual soul to host a new body, a physical body. This is something easily can be done. It is something that they have to accept the condition. So what it means, if one of the what I call beautiful people is a girl in the body of the man, which has happened, we know a number of cases, we have to create a physical body which she, as a soul within that frame of 4, see fit the way she wants to look, to be, to live, that she accepts that body as a host. Then we'll see the 4 individuals. This knowledge and technology is in our hand. It's not something that we have to go and search and develop. Which means what we call schizophrenic, 4, 1, 2, or 5 people in one, or souls in one physicality, we can ask them, how would they like to be? What would they accept as a host to move? And in so many ways, it's a specific way that needs to be done. It's a very, very specific, that we do not lose the soul. We do not lose in transition. Can be done. So if the knowledge of man extended to further beyond what it is now, which is to come, we can, the way we mutate from one body, one shape to another as we enter different dimensions in the universe, we can create physicalities to move the souls into a physical dimension, or give them a dimension that they can enter the soul and they themselves create their own physicality. This is possible with the new enhancement units. It's a possibility, not only possibility, it's certainty. I know exactly what needs to be done. But it's the acceptance by the society, which is the hardest part. How do you know this was the soul which was there? How do you know this is something you haven't made up, and the rest of it? This is the problem, but the knowledge is there. We can now make physical bodies which are replication of the thoughts of the soul. How many times you have said, I don't like this part of my body, I don't like that part of my body, or my face or my leg. The knowledge is there that you can correct it yourself to the perfection as you see it. In a way, if you look at it in a very short time coming, you don't need to go for 20 years to university to become a doctor. You can literally download the whole knowledge of a doctor, being a doctor, directly to your soul and emotion, and take up the characteristics and behavior and work of a doctor. It is so easy now, but mankind to learn it is another point. As I said, from 21st onwards, be ready to join the universal community, but understand the knowledge is so advanced that many of you will not even believe or that you can understand it. And with it comes these breakthroughs of knowledge, and we gradually bring it to that point. As I said, I can manifest Christ in front of you, but do you know it's Christ or not? Because it doesn't look like all the images you carried for years with you. Some of the pictures of Christ you carry in vase is very much like some of Ayatollahs in Iran. So we have to accept the reality, and the knowledge, the share of knowledge will become so rapid.
I think we lost you, Keshe.
Why?
Oh, sorry. You said a word, and then it cut off in the middle of your word.
So God didn't want you to listen to it. You have to wait. But it is part of what will come. Manifestation of physicality in any dimension comes from the school of the soul of the man. Now that you have 4 souls and you can make accommodation for them to take up their own physical condition as they like. So if I present 4 bodies in front of one body which carries 4 souls and each one accepts, then you'll see you have 4 children in front of you, not 1. And each one with different demand as normal. Each one with different likes and dislikes, which is normal.
Well, my question also had to do with whether they decide to create individual physicalities, can they find the peace in the lack of physicality, just existing as souls without the physicality?
Yes, that's their choice.
Mr. Keshe, Lissy has 2 questions, but she's also put into the chat something I don't understand. Please now attack world chat with sex images. Keshe World Family. Who is an administrator? Lissy?
Pardon?
Lissy, would you like to open your microphone and explain your post here?
What?
Is this hacker where it's posted like a
Hello.
Bitcoin and everything
Pardon?
else in Telegram?
What?
In Telegram, it's posted sometimes the sex something posted or about
These
Bitcoin
are what come on. We have no control. We delete them as soon as they come. We see them.
Thank you.
But these are something which we have on all the channels. On the Iranian channel, on the French channel, on German channel, we see it. They come. These are people who come in by robots, and then they invite themselves into it, and we try to delete them as much as we can. It appears nowadays they just use a single picture, all sorts of things. It's not something that we allow it, but it is there. We take all the beauties of communication through the internet, and we get these things which come with it. There are programs which can stop, but they still find a way in.
If don't have the real name, I cancel and I ban it.
That's what is going to be done, but it is the way they come. They usually appear around about 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, more than any other time. Any other question?
But that is not on Telegram. That's on here. So and the person has a name, so he needs to disband or something.
Where we only will operate through Telegram.
I think it was posted perhaps like a question, why are these sex pictures? And you said they're like data that's associated with them. They're kind of like you download it and then it hacks your computer, I think. But then the person wants to know if they can ask 2 questions. I don't know if English is their first language or what, because they haven't typed the 2 questions into the chat here on this meeting.
Lindsay asking the permission for making these 2 questions. I think it's the Spanish group. Lindsay.
So they can post the question in the chat if they because they wrote decent English, so they could put the question in the chat without having to open their microphone if there's a thought they might be acting inappropriately. I don't know what you want to do, Alec or Mark.
I just asked her to open her mic if she wants to speak.
But I still had a question for Mr. Keshe. Regarding the material enhancement unit, is that based on your presentation of the creation of the neutron in a way
No.
that of us trying to understand how I know it's not how it happens, but how if we try to gain an understanding of how to create a neutron, it's the creation that I'm trying to get down to in that respect.
What does that mean?
How do we visualize, or how do we work with the idea of the transition from the intermediary of, or the plasma of the fields into the intermediary and into the inertia state? Trying to see that process in a way, how we can, so when we choose our intention to create a condition, we have more information through our knowledge of our understanding, if that's helpful.
No.
Okay.
Any other question? No.
You have the question, first question in the chat of Lindy.
I can read that for you. This is from Lissy. Hello. There are several beings from UFO space coming to Earth. All come to help, or some do not. Which not?
Soon you'll be the judge. We do not have, we never had, and will never have any group or whatever who will come to Earth to harm. Unless man harm himself by the knowledge they give, or by the act they do. This is one of the principal cornerstones of interaction with the communities. Let me explain to you something which should answer you in one sentence. If those who come are the visitors of this planet wanted to do anything with the knowledge and everything they have, they possess, this planet will be child play. They've done nothing wrong. They will do nothing wrong. Because man in knowledge is so weak that they can even play with you without you knowing. Man has absolute zero knowledge about the work of the universe. Zero. And these people are the travelers of the universe. To travel the span of universe, you need to know a lot. Will you step on an ant? And if they wanted to do so, they would have done thousands of years ago.
Mr. Keshe, we can ask the knowledge we can ask the knowledge of the universe.
You can ask for it, but if you do not understand it, it's nothing to you. It's an amazing. We can go and look at the picture and walk away. You looked at the picture. Now you bring a master. He explains every brush, every position of a color, what it means, what it does, and he can write a book about it. Which one is it? Was the knowledge not there? Or we were ignorant of it, we just looked at the picture.
Mr. Cash, are they speaking about another level of carbon?
Oh my God, Gerald. I don't know, what do you think?
This is embarrassing.
You asked the question.
He's flabbergasted.
You see, I carry the knowledge of Creator. And if we show too much and teach too much, mankind will hang himself out of knowing he knows not much. So we have to play slowly, slowly. Catch a monkey. And this is the process and approach which we took past 20 years of teaching. Slowly, slowly. But deep enough that in simplicity a lot understand. And this is the beauty, the way I have taught in past 10 years, 15 years. I made the most advanced knowledge in the universe a toy play. You make it in the cup. You make it in the patch. But you don't realize that of the knowledge has been given to you. Because you have no value for it, because to you is not there. There is no foundation and base for it. We didn't teach to devalue. We taught to increase the soul of the man's power of understanding of his own creation.
Mr. Keshe, would you take another question from Lissy, her second question?
Yep.
You tell us when we go into space, we move with planet Earth, or we decide which planet we are going to. How do we decide if we do not know, or does our divine
We had this question many times. Your soul will decide. And the more you understand, the more you will have a choice.
Thank you very much.
This is the problem. The minute I come, I have to get a fake name to be able to come to these teachings and be there and listen.
You'll have to come in with a cloaking device.
We can feel you, Mr. Cash. You cannot escape us.
I cannot escape it, huh?
But by the way, thank you. You visited me yesterday at my home.
Did I?
Yeah.
I'm a naughty boy. I go many places without knowing.
I will keep an eye. But That was joyful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for tonight. I came to be a listener. I got involved.
Mr. Keshe.
Yeah.
Good evening. I don't know if my voice is coming up nicely or too loud
Just
or too
right.
low. Just right. Thanks God. This is the first time I'm participating in any live activities.
This is German from London.
Yes, you're a humble gentleman
We
from
met
London.
you.
I did know the
Yeah.
voice. I did know the voice. Hi, Kai.
Hi. God bless you. It's a pleasure to hear you, especially live. I came to London. I came to Lynn's exhibition with 1001 question, and I came back with 1100 question. I never ever ask any questions, as you all had plenty in your hands. But the pleasure of being there and getting blessed with the positive energy was more than enough. One question has always puzzled me. Once this teaching is all done, I was just wondering all the time, what will happen if, God forbid, certain people will have this knowledge, and before it is spread to more people, the knowledge curbed by those people who want to control, just like what they did at the time of Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, and others. How do we counteract that?
You don't need to counteract it, because the way we set it up, the knowledge will go through the intelligence of understanding of it. And because it's taught directly to all people, nobody can abuse it. You can interpret it. And according to what you understand with the interpretation. People around understand. Then somebody might interpret it the same thing in a different way than you do. They accept his, but not yours. Now it's an interpretation by the soul of the man and the physicality of the man. And no harms will come to the foundation. And the work of the knowledge we have brought is the knowledge of the Creator. We've seen it. If you look, if you've been long around the foundation, how many of hundreds of people attack us are there now? How many of them? Pardon?
That was my worry, because
because we're doing we share the knowledge and people decide. You see, at the moment we have this situation which is very clear. Most of you know about it. Getting bombarded by rhetoric, counter, what do you call it, claiming and fear-mongering, and immediately deleting. How many of you have had messages from the same person creating fear-mongering and changing the meaning to suit and then deleting? This is the technique they use. They've been there. They paid for it to be done. They're paid to do this job. If you are correct, you don't delete it of the messages you put across the whole internet to hundreds of people. It's just tactic of fear-mongering. Has it changed anything in the dimension of the teaching?
No.
But with put it this way. Last week, when we start teaching about 3 weeks ago, about the 5 cups, and then a lot of you made it past 6-10 weeks, to get attention, they throw the cup away, 5 cups. What did that do? Every time the enemies of the foundation attack us, we came out victorious. What happened? It brought to us that this can be abused, and with the teaching of this Thursday, now people are knowledgeable. They know exactly what the 5 cups are. So what they bring is adding to knowledge for people to understand. And it opens their hand. The systematic writing in different languages, which we see now, and then deleting it, comes because they've been paid. There is a position. Let me explain to you what's one of my biggest fear with this movement which is going on, writing and deleting, creating fear, and then deleting all chats, which we all have seen, is a pattern of pedophilia. We've seen this before. And you have to understand, she's associated with a very strong pedophile group. It's in the hand of the police. This is a typical work. We saw it with Alan Sterling. We saw it with Dirk. Because there's a reason for it, they do it this way. Long chats. And why do you need a long chats to put on? Have you seen how much I write? Few sentences. The long chats in some internet works allows a lot of interference. We watched the operation. A clear work of pedophiles is arising out of these long chats and deletion. I'll explain to you, even the what we call IT people don't know this, but our securities are picking up on it in a very strong way. When you have to understand there's a pattern of work. You are not the assets, your children are. Your grandchildren are. This is how we broke into our understanding side. We see the same pattern.
I think if we become unnoticed, I mean, we do something really good.
No, but you have to be very careful. I don't put things out without meaning, and when it's needed, we'll open it up. We've seen a large number. You say the attackers, they use it and everything else. First of all, we're becoming wise to these things. Secondly, in this process, we are taking notes of the new behavior. And we'll see there was expectation of sudden rise, the same what we saw when Alan Sterling was captured, that a lot of people will support this individual, and then it becomes a lot against. Now become a lonely writer. Very few. And people are seeing through. But in reality, behind it sits a very strong pedophile group. This is why we close a lot of things the right time out of the foundation, before they come into the foundation attack. I'll explain to you one day. I haven't even explained it to IT people of the foundation. I have a special securities people who work in the background for me for 15 years more, 30 years, a couple of them. We monitor, we watch. We got rid of the head. They brought somebody who was inside the foundation to do the work for them. The same will come. They use the knowledge to go against it, that they can attract you, and then other things come with it. As I advise to many people, just block. Delete and block. to protect your own family and your children and your grandchildren and people around you. There is a reason they do these things. And then they use the knowledge we give to turn it for you to say, oh, there is something he said, and this is what now interpretation of it. There is no interpretation. There is something very interesting, as I've said it before, many times. It's the first time, more or less, in the history of man, that the knowledge given, the giver of the knowledge is present to explain again and again. And right across the planet, not very few people who are nearby that they can mischew it and chew it the way they want. Time of Christ was 12 people. What he said to them and what they wrote was what the interpretation of it was. And what they wrote years later, didn't have the knowledge to write. They said to somebody to write it in the book of a story which was written years later. Now, every person right across this planet, you open a microphone from America, South America, Europe, anybody can ask questions. There is no ambiguity. So the people who try to make something out of it, they have a reason for themselves, for their personal case. And if you write such a huge amount, you don't want to wipe out. Which means they want to create a doubt, and it's not that, oh, what happened? They put a seed of doubt and strangity into your head, and then you think about it. The question is, how come it wasn't there 4 months ago? How come it wasn't there a year ago? And how come it was defended so heartedly a year ago or 4 months ago? It suddenly changed. Because they are after to destroy the whole knowledge which is to come. When you claim your knowledge is complete, there is no more, and then there is so much more to come, plus universal language and universal knowledge that is to come. You should understand clearly. And look, it has this time has not grown to hundreds of people attacking the foundation. One lonely schizophrenic brain has seen himself so big. Me and my shadow. Miscalculation. And those who pushed it through, made to believe will become big, they've lost it. And with it, the one who initiated it lost. You got to realize this knowledge, this Keshe Foundation technology is a technology, not the essence of what they try to take it to. We teach with the technology the essence of theology, that you understand the world of the universe. And this is what is important. If anyone can come and bring a new, fresh knowledge in on a continuous basis for years, the way we've done every week, then they can claim they are something different. Ridiculing, counter-writing, and not coming up with anything profound is nothing but show lack of what I call ignorance, of not knowing, being what we call a pheasant on the ice, on the snow. If you look, you're afraid of what happens in the future, cannot happen. You have 7 years, 10 years, more or less 7 years of non-stop every week. Even one small new technology, one new knowledge has been added. You have learned 350, 370 pieces of new knowledge every week in past 7 years. you go and see how many patterns can be written on it. Has any of these people ever written anything? As I always say, a six-page book has nothing in it but the stupidity of the brain which carries it. And this is what it is. There is nothing. If you can add and then contradict, yes. But if you look, as I've said many times, look at the way we cover the technology. And it's not just energy, space, language, theology, material, health, agriculture, everything you can imagine has been taught to set up a new life for humanity, a new cycle from zero. We literally started a new knowledge from zero and ethics to go with it. Never been done before and never will be done again. Loving is to give and be committed in totality. And the Creator loves mankind. And this is what mankind has to realize. We fall in love with the beauty of the creation. And this is what these people don't understand. If you listen to Thursday teaching, if you understand that essence of the teaching about the 5 cups, you have understood the totality of the creation from A to Z. You don't go and say throw the cups away. They threw themselves away. And there's no danger for the foundation because you have to have one thing which is important. We are a scientific organization, not what we do in bed or what we eat in the cinema or whatever else. When you bring those in, you have lost the value of the knowledge. And in that process, we continuously add to the knowledge, continuously add to the knowledge every week. And gradually, a number of people stretches from the ones who understand the top and those who just started. I mean, between 7 billion people. And the knowledge is a speaker of itself. Today, I had the pleasure of having one of the leading Iranian government officials online for a million now, giving a surety of the correctness of the Keshe Foundation conduct in Iran and internationally. And the full support by this, what we call the leadership of Iran, pledging its loyalty to Keshe Foundation and our technology. And when you hear people at this rank pledge alliance and alliance, what we call guarantees of the knowledge to be protected, you understand how good you've been in teaching. Allegiance by central powers creates the new life of the style of the Keshe Foundation. And we're gathering that in a very, very correct way. You're bringing the most powerful organizations in the world and governments to work together as we teach freely. Don't ever worry who's going to do what they're going to do. In the coming months and years, you will see. We stick to the same. We keep on teaching. We keep on really teaching. And don't worry what happens afterwards because too many people are learning and too many people are adding to. The difference is I have patience and have one of the most beautiful team next to me, loyal, hardworking, and endurance will bring it in. Keshe Foundation on the top with about 20, 30 people, plus our backup security, about 200 people are solid. And that's which is carrying the rest of the teachings worldwide and everything else. And governments, listen, don't worry about what these people are going to do. Not much they can do. We've seen it. I don't think we saw as bad as what we saw with, what do you call it, with disappearance of Alan Sterling. Everybody thought that's it, the Keshe Foundation will break up. They did. And now we have one lonely loser in the mind of a schizophrenic. You can play any game you like. And mankind cannot be a schizophrenic. Mankind has to stay solid. And that's solidity we see. The people who finance wars have given up. And the people who finance technology and peace are gradually taking over. Very gradual. It's not an overnight job. Don't worry about it. We're not going to go anywhere. And nothing will happen. I have put a beautiful root in the soul of mankind that they will grow on its own. We have touched the soul of humanity with knowledge. That every man can understand this technology, doesn't matter what background you come from. And nobody has become a physicist or chemist or biologist or a doctor. They have learned all of it. If you look at all of you, all the knowledge, because millions of, have any of them claim to be a physicist or chemist? No, they're just knowledge seekers. We got rid of all these divisions and titles in this technology. You use gas technology for agriculture. I use gas technology for medicine. I use gas technology for space. But nobody has become what we've seen before. Gas physicist or gas biologist. We take one common name, knowledge seekers. And in that seeking of the knowledge, we choose what we enjoy to be part of totality. We haven't divided it anymore. This is something I've explained to many knowledge seekers, and if you look at it, it's 100% correct. We do everything. We go for corona, all of us. We go for farming, planting, or watering our plants with it at home, and we take it and we wash the garden with it, and then we use it for anything else. We become chemists, biologists, physicists, and everything together. It's the first time because we learned the root of the knowledge of humanity. We all accept it and we embrace it in that way. It has no division. You have a headache, you have a corona, you make the gas, you drink it. You want to grow plants in the garden, you make the gas. Which part of the physics or chemistry or biology have you become? Or you become now a knowledge seeker who understands. It's interesting. Any other question?
Mr. Keshe, sorry, this is Kay Convers again from London. Are you still going back to Iran?
I'm committed to return to Iran, and we received advice in when and how this morning from the officials. There is a lot of things which has to be done. Keshe Foundation, as not me, returns to Iran to bring a new space and medicine into Iranian, what I call universities. And yes, I'm returning to Iran. Our position is very clear. We have accepted a position within the Iranian structure, which will be announced in the coming time. We are heading for, in a way, leading Iran in a position of leadership into the highest position in science and technology.
God bless you.
I have accepted the position to return to Iran on the basis of the change in the dimension of science and technology and leading the nation out. And this will stand. And in the coming weeks, you will see massive progress propaganda by Iranian media in introducing the technology. Iran will lead through science and technology, a new style of leadership in peace and science and technology hand in hand. And I've accepted the position to lead.
Wish you all the success.
Our success is the success of humanity.
God bless.
You see, we have to lead from the front and the top, as we have laid the foundation for all of it over years. Now it's time for the phoenix, as I call it, phoenix of knowledge and technology to rise again. With it will bring a lot of new dimensions and directions. Any other question? There is something important for you to understand. I returned to Iran not to lead Iran into the pinnacle of science and technology. I returned to Iran to lead humanity to the pinnacle of understanding the technology and with it to open the span of the universe. And this has taken a long time to lay out and pan out, and gradually everything is coming together the way you wanted it. Thank you very much. And hopefully we'll see you on Thursday. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Keshe.
Mr. Keshe.
Thank you, beautiful soul.